where you need like a borderline revolutionary approach towards taxation and wealth redistribution, or the country will simply not function. Like no amount of competent neoliberal governance. Normally I say that about like social problems. Like, okay, neoliberals can't address the, income inequality. We're not talking about income inequality, okay? We're talking about, I don't know, liquidity. We're talking about the velocity of money. We're talking about stuff that normally capitalists don't like to directly touch because investors get spooked when you do. Why did I think that Fox News would talk about this massive budget failure in the committee? Why would I assume they'd talk about that? I'm an idiot. Of course they wouldn't. Classic mistake.
Move now over to D.C. because the House Budget Committee failed to advance the GOP's reconciliation plan, also known as the One Big Beautiful Bill. So the House budget has failed. They are taking reaction right now. One of those no's was from Republican Ralph Norman out of York County. As we wait for his reaction, let's go ahead and listen in here on Live Impact News on WCNC+.
Of course, we've been working closely with the White House and with the president to advance this. I didn't see that specific tweet that you talked about, but I'm proud of the work that we did here. This is a great bill, and it's going to advance the president's agenda as well as the mandate that the American people gave to us in November. And so we will get there. I'm quite confident that we're going to get this done. We'll vote this out of budget, ideally on Monday.
Right.
I have to now admonish my colleagues on this side of the aisle. This bill falls profoundly short. It does not do what we say it does with respect to deficits. The fact of the matter is, on the spending, what we're dealing with here on tax cuts and spending, a massive front-loaded deficit increase. We are writing checks we cannot cash, and our children are going to pay the price. So I am a no on this bill unless serious reforms are made today, tomorrow, Sunday. We're having conversations as we speak, but something needs to change, or you're not going to get my support.
He's not wrong. His prescriptions on the matter broadly are definitely not correct, but, Is the blocking of the bill good for us? Well, yeah, it's the Republicans, it's Trump's budget bill. It's ruinous. Not even for the reasons that we've looked at over the past hour, where it seems like our country is doomed to collapse no matter what, ? But like broadly, it's just very, very bad, Yeah, celebrate any infighting you can. Oh, hey, I've seen this guy.
Breaking news, President Trump's legislative agenda, what he calls his One Big Beautiful Bill, just failed to make it out of a key committee. 5 Republicans jumped ship and joined Democrats to vote down the bill. Our smart reporters are here, including and especially our all-star Capitol Hill reporter, Lauren Fox. Lauren, I want to bring you in, but I first want to play a soundbite from Chip Roy, Republican of Texas, who has been kind of leading the charge on concerns about his fellow Republicans.
A massive front-loaded deficit increase. And if we would reform
I want to see him talk.
We could actually get to the core of the problem. But we refuse to do it. And I'm not going to sit here and say that everything is hunky-dory when this...
Yeah, just give me him. I don't... CNN. Give me this guy. Give me Chip Roy.
Now yield 3 minutes to my friend and fellow Texan who's done a fantastic job, played a key role in fashioning the initial framework we call the budget resolution. And I want to thank him for his service and his friendship. Mr. Chip Roy, 3 minutes.
I appreciate my friend from Texas, the chairman, and, there my Democratic colleagues go again, telling things that are not true. The vast majority of Americans will get tax benefits under this bill. It's just simply false to say that that's not true. Hardworking Americans who will benefit from the standard deduction increase. Hardworking Americans that will benefit from child tax credits and lower tax rates. Stop saying things that aren't true. Those things are true. The fact is we have money in here for border to undo the damage of Joe Biden. We have more money in here for the defense to undo the damage of Joe Biden. But we also address Medicaid, and Medicaid spending goes up. Stop lying. Medicaid spending goes up. My colleagues on the other side of the aisle are profoundly unserious when it comes to being real about what's happening with the numbers. I applaud Chairman Arrington. I applaud my colleagues on this side of the aisle for taking a step.
This guy, well, yeah, he's a Republican. They literally said right-wing hardliner.
Forward in dealing with the spending problem in this town. But I have to now admonish my colleagues on this side of the aisle. This bill falls profoundly short. It does not do what we say it does with respect to deficits. The fact of the matter is, on the spending, what we're dealing with here on tax cuts and spending, a massive front-loaded deficit increase. That's the
Honestly, my impression, based on the way he talks, is that his real issue is that it's front-loaded. Like, he's basically saying, listen, the debt's going to go massively up while I'm still in office, okay? Don't you think it would be better if we structured it so that the debt went way up when I'm not in office?
truth. That's the truth. Deficits will go up in the first half of the 10-year budget window, and we all know it's true.
See?
And we shouldn't do that.
See, why is he concerned about, like, what time frame the debt goes up? Surely it going up later, I mean, if it goes up, you know?
We shouldn't say that we're doing something we're not doing. The fact of the matter is, this bill has backloaded savings and has front-loaded spending. Nowhere near the Senate budget top line, by the way.
Yeah, this 100%, that's his problem. He's like, we need to structure this more intelligently, you know? We need benefits now and detriments later, rather than detriments now and benefits later. You know, we need to be more politically efficacious here.
Budget top line of $6.5 trillion, which, by the way, is what we were pre-COVID, inflation adjusted, on interest, on Medicaid, on Medicare and Social Security. And if we would reform Medicaid, we could actually get to the core of the problem. But we refuse to do it. And I'm not going to sit here and say that everything is hunky-dory when this is the budget committee. This is the budget committee. We are supposed to do something to actually result in balanced budgets. But we're
out of curiosity, just like after the bit we talked about, and I really do want your guys' opinions on this, is there any solution at all to the debt and interest crisis that we're experiencing that that wouldn't require basically revolutionary change? Like, is there any kind of tweedly little finicky neoliberal bullshit numbers game they could play to put it off? Or because it kind of seems like it's reaching a breaking point. Japan did it. I think somebody linked that earlier, a talk from a Japanese economist talking about what they did. I'd be interested in hearing about it.
We're not doing it. Look at what happens under deficits. By the way, this chart includes growth. This chart demonstrates economic growth. And right here, what do you see? Baseline, and the orange columns are the deficits under the House budget, assuming growth. Only in Washington are we expected to bet on the come that in 5 years, then everything will work. Then we will solve the problem. We have got to change the direction of this town. And to my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, yes, that means touching Medicaid. It went from $400 billion in 2019 to $600 billion this year. It'll be over $1 trillion in the 2030s. We are making promises that we cannot keep.
Do you think we should be able to, like, I don't know, negotiate lower payments from people who take advantage of Medicaid? Vosh, you increase taxation. It's literally that simple. Yeah, but like at this point, we would have to increase taxation enormously just to be solvent, just to not accrue additional debt, you know? Like a massive increase to our, because we're like, what, 2 trillion in the deficit?
We do need to reform it. We need to stop giving 7 times as much money to the able-bodied over the vulnerable. Why are we sticking it to the vulnerable population, the disabled and the sick, to give money to single able-bodied male adults? We shouldn't do that. We should reform it. But guess what? That message needs to be delivered to my colleagues on this side of the aisle too.
The messaging from Republicans on gutting Medicaid is that actually the program wasn't intended to be used by like the, you know, needy male able-bodied so-and-so. They're doing a means testing thing, basically. They're like, yeah, they're like sweaty gamers benefiting from Medicaid. That's not what it's for.
We're writing checks we cannot cash, and our children are going to pay the price. So I am a no on this bill unless serious reforms are made today, tomorrow, Sunday. We're having conversations as we speak, but something needs to change or you're not going to get my support. I yield back.
I don't know if they're going to be able to pass this, to be honest with you. Why does the debt of a country matter again? Because you pay interest. What happens if the bill just isn't passed at all? I mean, somebody has to pass some kind of budget bill. What happens if nobody passes a budget bill? Honestly, I have no idea. They got to pass one.